I joined Board Booster, I have like significantly increased my traffic because I'm looping all of my boards. And I feel like it's just really helped. Where like before I would get on for a few days and then I'd forget. And then like I'd get on and like really be into it and then I'd forget for a few days. So now with Board Booster, I'm able to loop every day and I'm able to like make all these campaigns and it's really helping. And so my traffic is just continuing to go up. So I've never tried Tailwind, but I'm sure Stacy knows a little more about that. Can you see the comments?
Yes, I can. I'm writing back to Amanda and we'll hit Sunshine Mama in just a second. Okay. So yes, Board Booster. Okay. The one thing I will tell you about Board Booster straight up front is it's not one of the ones that has been approved by Pinterest. So, Ahology, Tailwind, and what's the third one that I can't think of right now? Buffer. Buffer, Tailwind, and Ahology have all partnered with Pinterest. And really what that means is things aren't going to break as often when they do the updates. So they're going to have like prior knowledge when updates come out. And so hopefully you'll see more of a seamless shift than you will with others like the Viral Tag, the Board Booster, all the other different ones that are out there. But I don't worry about it too much. It's kind of like your plugins. Like your plugins don't get updates from WordPress all the time when they're rolling out, but they still manage to take care of it and do an update pretty rapidly. So I haven't myself noticed a huge problem with that. I really like Board Booster, and the reason I like it is because I like things simple. I like to do things with the touch of one button, and I like to be able to do just about all of it with my phone. If I can't do it from my phone, I don't really want to do it. And that's why I have somebody else do my Viral Tag, because it makes me crazy. Like, I just want to touch buttons.
When Stacy has 3 kids too, so like her lives are as busy as ours. So
they're going to be out of school in 2 hours. And we have teacher conferences today, and I have a giant photo shoot set up in the other room that is due. Like there's pies melting, there's cream everywhere, and life of a blogger. So here we go. But so the thing I'll tell you about Board Booster, and this is for you, Sunshine Mama, because this is a great way to increase your traffic. I like to set things up and forget them. So if you are a niche blogger in particular, which I am not, this will do wonders for you. And I'm still kind of trying to wrap it around and make it work for me. But specifically, if I have a food blogger, for say, I will set up a series of board campaigns versus how Becky is looping. And this is also because I'm a bit of a control freak and I like to touch every single thing. So I will manually set up a campaign and I'll say, okay, we just did a new post today and it was food because I'm a food blogger. So I have a secret board in Board Booster called New Posts. Every time one of my clients makes a new post, all she has to do is pin her title graphic into that secret board. When she does that, it's all set and forget. So from that one board, and this depends on her profile, how many group boards she's a part of, what her boards are. I basically have between 10 to 20 boards that this new post will go out to at my chosen rate. So, because I'm really anal, I have the calendar and I've set it up very much in advance that I know exactly which day it's going to go out. But you're a food blogger and you take really awesome pictures. So you didn't just do one title graphic. You did 4 images that were awesome that belong on Pinterest. So then I just make other second campaigns that are called second pin, third pin, extra pin. And if you have like one of those really long ones, I have one called long. And I have them set up so they're not the same because I don't want the pin that goes out on the first day that was the title graphic to also go out at the same time as the second pin. So I stagger the dates, the boards, the users, the profiles. Everything is very specifically planned out in advance. And by planned out in advance, I print out a blank calendar and I just use a highlighter and I make like pretty thick marks on my paper. And I'm like, today I'm going to put it here and tomorrow I'm going to put it there. And then I just go in and I set it in Board Booster and forget it. And once that's in place, every time you do a new post, you can just load it in that board and walk away. And for the next 2 months, your pins are going
Gonna
out.
go up. I do that.
So-
I do that. Like I have like with food and then parenting. Is it echoing for you guys?
Yeah. I thought
It's
maybe
a
it
little
was just me again.
Yeah. And then oh, there it sounds
That's
normal
good.
on my end now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like moving all around. So I have like food and parenting and like DIY, Christmas, fall, things like that. And then I'll pin to like whichever board, and then it goes out to like 6 boards that fall into that category or whatever. But I like that idea of like new. And yeah, if you have like, if you're like specifically like a food blogger or something, that would be perfect.
Yeah,
Stacey,
that's
before
genius.
I move on, and I'm only doing this if you want to, but do you hire people? Like, could these people contact you to work their Pinterest if they don't want to do it?
Could they hire me to do it for them?
Yeah, like, is that like a service that you offer? Like, if they want to do it?
So it is a service we're starting to offer. I've done it in the past, and then I took a break, and then I brought on a few new people for like this new big plan. So in 2016, we're going to roll out services to bloggers, and I'll just go out and tell you, because I want them to be super affordable. Most plans are going to run between $100 to $200 a month, and give people. We'll use a combination of Board Booster and Viral Tag, and maybe even Tailwind. We talked about Tailwind a little bit. I'll tell you, I have fallen off the Tailwind bandwagon only because I can't touch it from my phone. And if they ever make it that way, I would be there all day long, because I really do love the spreadsheets that you can get. I don't even know if they're spreadsheets on there. They're just the access to your information. But my favorite things in Tailwind, and I should open it up so I can talk to you about it, or like to go back through you have access to every single pin through Tailwind. So you can sort and say like, which pin did I do that got the most repins? And they come out like, I have 11,000 pins, and it'll be 11,000 pins in order of which ones were the most popular. And then you can go ahead from there and repin them, because if they worked once, maybe they're going to work again. Maybe it's time to show it again. Or you can do the opposite and sort and say which one's got the least. And I'll tell you what I would do. Let's say you have a bunch of pins that have 0 repins. We don't want 0 repins on our account, because one, it makes us look like we're not, just like Facebook, like you don't want to post things and get no engagement. Nobody wants no engagement. So just try it again. So it didn't work. Let's say 3 years ago when you pinned it, nobody cared about your cute little handmade ornament that you made, and it never got a repin. So you can do several things. You could repin your own pin, the old one, and make a new one, or you could just go back to your old post and start fresh again and delete that 0 one out of your account, because I don't have like verbal confirmation that it matters, but I think that it does to an extent. That the more engaged your audience is on your Pinterest profile, the more weight you receive in the algorithm, and the more likely you are to show up in search results. So that works. It's like a double-edged sword. Half of the algorithm is looking at your site in particular. So the more popular your site is, the more likely you are to show up in results. But maybe you're like me and you didn't get big because you have a really popular site. You wish you did, but you don't. So you're the opposite. You got big because you have a really cool Pinterest account where you spent a lot of time curating good content. So for me to have pins that have been interacted with more than most, that helps me show up in search. It's not necessarily because I have the best recipe for banana bread. It's because the pin that I have on banana bread has been pinned more than any time. So I would.
Do you go through and like repin from other people? Repin. We're all echoing today.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard people say like you need to be the original pinner, blah, blah, blah. You really don't. It doesn't matter anymore. I like to share the love. So yeah, I like to spread the love around. So somebody did good and you found their pin, just repin it. Like really now the way the algorithm works, what we do is so much less effective than we think it is. It's all really based on algorithms. So while we're talking about algorithm, I'll tell you the number one thing when you walk out of here, and I'll drop the link in the comments, is if you don't have rich pins, go get them right now. to have the rich pin, I think you have to be a business account, which I would advise all bloggers to be business accounts just for legal ramifications. Because if you're running AdSense or you're part of an ad network or you're earning any kind of income or you're selling a product on your blog, those pins are helping you earn income. So you need to legally be listed as a business because you are earning profit, even if it's a pin not of something that you're selling. It's just leading back to your site. So just for straight up legal sake, I advise all bloggers who are monetizing to be businesses. And then 2, you get the rich pins. And the rich pins automatically help your content show up before other people's in a search. But on top of that, it adds so much more metadata into the search results. So let's say you only titled let's say we published today, I'm working on a post right now for a vegan pumpkin pie. And let's say my post title is simply vegan pumpkin pie. That might limit me to show up in search results for Pinterest. But because I have rich pins, it's going to take in all my metadata, all my ingredients, all the hidden background information, that the little blurb that I made that I want to go out on social media. And it will also pull from that information what's showing up in Pinterest on my results. So that is a bonus. And then another cool thing about it that's coming out with their new rollout that they haven't really told anybody yet is there's going to be, from now on, and let me do a screenshot of somebody that has a rich pin. Hold on just a second. And if anybody has any questions while I grab this, go ahead and ask them. I wish I could show you guys my screen.
I know. Maybe not. Maybe. Oh, look at my going. I hope they come out.
That would be cool. Okay, so here I'm dropping my link to my profile in case you want to check that out. And I'm just going straight in here and I'm going to look for a rich pin. Everybody knows what rich pins are. I will also drop the link on how to get them. Okay, so we're going to take this. All right.
I'm trying to move.
For example purposes, we are all going to look at this pin.
Awesome.
Okay, so we're looking at Alyssa from Simply Quinoa's pin right now. She has rich pins, and she does a great job of filling out her metadata, doing wonderful post titles, descriptions on her pins. Like, she's really one of my favorites. So I'm going to screenshot, if I scroll past her picture where her title is and the recipe begins. Can I drop an image in here?
I don't think so.
Can you guys make sure everyone in the group that you're clicking on these links that she's sending over?
Maybe I. So here, let me do it from my phone.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'll put the links in the description in the order that she shared them, so y'all can access them too.
I'll show it on my phone if I can, because I love my phone. Remind me later. It wants me to update it.
Oh gosh.
Okay. All right. Let's see if this will work. Ta-da! Okay. So we should, if you click that last link, we would all be on this pin. Right. Underneath her picture, there is a picture of her profile right here. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you click on that, it will take you to the recipe, the blog post, which is awesome because it's encouraging more people to click on recipes. That's been one of the downfalls for rich pins for food bloggers, was that the recipe was already there. Mm-hmm. A lot of people weren't following through. Right. But what's going to come out in the next rollout is if you have rich pins, there's going to be a new section on this side right now where it says make it that says follow her, where people will be able to follow you on Pinterest from anybody else's account. Wow. So I just pinned her. I pinned her. I'm not her. But pretty soon it will say follow her on Pinterest from my account and from your account and anybody else who pins that.
That's awesome.
So her pictures are amazing. So how do you know if you have rich pins or not?
You know if you have rich pins or not if you have a bold black headline underneath your pin that has your pin title.
Like where hers says autumn chopped.
Yes. So that is the rich pin pulling her post title. And most pinners don't have that. So if you look through somebody's feed and you see no black headlines, those don't have rich pins. Hers also has her favicon and the name of her site.
So I think mine does.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did those a while back. You and I figured them out together.
And it's really all about time in front of people's eyeballs. That's what we want. So you're only getting split seconds when people are skimming through their feed to grab their attention. So one, the bold headline is a better way to grab somebody's attention. Two, the little bright favicon might be the thing that does it for them. Like you don't know what's going to be the thing that catches their eye, but anything you can throw in to add to the mix is going to be in your favor. And it's going to help you in search results with Pinterest, which nowadays is really like the golden key. I'm going to grab the link to get Rich Pins in case you guys don't have it. Hold on just
for non-food bloggers. Sorry, it's echoing. Sorry. What is it grabbing?
It still grabs your post title. It just won't provide ingredients beneath it. I'll drop a link to a non-recipe Rich Pin.
Stacy, what size? So I always go for 650 by 975 because it's like my go-to size for Pinterest. But what size would you recommend for Pinterest that you think does the best?
Up until this week, I've been doing everything at 700 by 1200, just because that's the arbitrary number that I put in my head. But this week, and I'll drop this link too, I read a post from Dustin TV. I really like that guy. I met him on Google Plus like years ago, but he put out like the optimal image sizes for every platform. And, you know, even when we went to Pinterest and asked them, it was like they didn't understand either. But I think finally people are getting it. So the optimal really, according to him, was 730, I think, by 1080. And I'll drop that link there so you can be 100% sure. But really,
would you upload that straight to?
Yes,
because that would be so giant on your blog. So would you like upload that straight to Pinterest? I don't even know if you can do that to WordPress.
So I've been uploading it straight to my blog just because it recognizes it by itself for me. But maybe that I don't know.
Mine does too. I always just do 650. But yeah, even if I do like 1,000, it still puts it at that same.
And I don't know that that's the right thing because I'm not a blogging awesome person, but that's what I do. And I'll tell you this: so 7 to 750 is the optimal size that you want because that's the rate it's going to shrink. But 2,000 is the maximum length you can go before they're going to clip your pin. So anything you do after 2,000. So if you have one of those collages,
like really long,
with 8 pictures in it, after you hit the 2,000 mark, Pinterest is going to clip it anyway, and you're going to have to hit that button that says expand pin. So my rule is I try never to have to do that expand pin, and I just want to be a long rectangle.
I just linked to an article that tells you how to hide those long ones, so you can upload them to your blog. So when people click the pin it button, it will come up as an option, but people don't have to scroll by it to read your content. So y'all can read that to see how to do that too.
Now, do you guys feel like it slows down your blogs if it's really giant like that? Like that's the reason I stick at 650. I'm always afraid it'll like slow down my site.
Well, you know what I mean? the difference between 650 and 700 is 50 pixels. Like that's not.
Yeah, that won't matter.
So if it was 2,000, sure, but the little 50 pixels isn't going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So I just dropped a link to a Rich Pin that's not a recipe, just so you can look. It's got the headline. She doesn't have her favicon loaded in, or maybe that is her favicon, the little black dot. But it does tell you who the blogger is and her website right now. And it gives the thing you type in WordPress SEO that people see when you share your post.
I think it's the alt description.
Well, not for the image, but for the post itself. Okay, and then I'm still trying to get a link for you for Rich Pins. Okay, sorry, I'm all over the place. That is in here. Okay.
Oh, I used one of these like on the side. Oh, it's yours, Home for the Holidays. But one of your pictures I used of mine.
Okay. All right, let's see where you at. Here we go. Good. There we go. Okay. Anybody else have any new questions for us?
Stacy, how long did it take you to grow your boards to this size?
Okay, so Pinterest started in 2010. In February of 2010. I think I finally got my invite in August of 2010, mainly because I stalked all the people who were on it because I really wanted to do it. And the reason I started was because my baby sister was having a wedding and I was her maid of honor, but she was in South Carolina and I wanted to be able to exchange ideas with her. So the very first board I created on Pinterest, and I'll show it to you, is called My Baby Sister's Wedding. And it's all about like the things I wanted to be able to do with her there. Well, it used to be. Now it's just random pins about weddings. But if you scroll to the bottom, it's all our plan. It was like a beach wedding with sunflowers and blah, blah. It was beautiful. But so I started with that. And then when I ran out of things to do, I was like, well, what else am I going to do with this thing? And at the beginning, it was all like design, DIY, or design and home decor specific bloggers, like all the really fancy, beautiful white background, like this really specific niche set of people that were there. And then random me. And I was like, okay, well, I can't do what they're doing. So what am I going to do? And I started pinning things to do with my kids. And I really think I was like one of the very first people that did that one thing. And really the secret to getting ahead is to do something different, even in the same genre that nobody else is doing. So all of a sudden they're like, wait, moms can use Pinterest too? Like, oh my God, it's not just for home. And so Pinterest even took notice. And what they did was at the time they called them taste makers. And they had us split up by categories. And you could go to the top and you had to specifically touch it though. You had to say, I want to see stuff for parents or kids, I think it was called. And it would recommend like, here's 5 or 6 people that pin about kids, but you still had to follow me. Like you had to make the conscious decision. Hey, I want to follow her because she does good stuff. And that helped me. That helped me grow to about 12,000. And no. Yeah, it got me to about 12,000. Once, like, so I started at like 2,000 and I started like getting really excited and I would tell everybody on Facebook, like, oh my God, I just hit 2,000. And it was like, I hit 4,000 and it didn't happen overnight. Like my other thing is I'm really nosy and I still have, like, I have right now in my inbox, I have, to do one. Oh, hold on. Oh, it's thinking because there's so many of them. 106,969 emails in my inbox. I would say 85% of those are from Pinterest, and they're every single person who has ever followed me because I like to talk to people, I like to hang out with people. I want to physically touch every single person. So the real reason I got big was every time somebody followed me, I was like, ooh, who are they? And I would click on their profile and I would see who they were, and then I would go and pin all their good stuff. So that's really what it was. It was like, ooh, they've got good stuff. And then I just take the best of what they had. And then I do that like 3 or 4 times a day. Didn't want to oversaturate people. And I grew. But when I finally hit it big at 25,000, and this was in 2011, I thought I had won the internet. Like, oh my God, there's 25,000 people following me. Like, what am I going to do? So I did the best thing I could think of doing. And I made this horrible graphic in PicMonkey. I'll show it to you. 25,000 thank yous. And it's red and white and it's ugly. Then there's this picture of a KitchenAid, like a bright blue KitchenAid mixer, or frost blue underneath. And I was like, I just want to say thank you. So I'm going to give you one of these mixers. And I had no idea. No one had ever done a giveaway on Pinterest before, period. Like I was the very first person. So twice I did something no one else had done. People came in droves. By the end of the contest, I was at 125,000 people. If you do, it was insane. Like if you do a giveaway today, you probably won't get anybody to enter, but because it was the first time, like it was insane. And so I get all these crazy people like will link back to my site, especially in Russia. Russia's really excited about giveaways on Pinterest. And it'll be like, the first giveaway on Pinterest. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I wonder what they're saying. But let me see if I can find it so you can see what but really, it was those 3 things. So it was doing something nobody had ever done and using it for myself. So it had to be beneficial for me or I wouldn't have kept doing it. So I was saving ways to help my family. And also I started with the food. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of people pinning recipes back then. And now look, almost everything on there is a recipe or a kid's craft. And then 2, I was nosy and I went through and looked at everybody's stuff and took the best of what I could find and put it on my own site or on my own collection. And then 3, I did a giveaway. Like, it was right place at the right time. Then I got to about 275,000 people. And then Pinterest, just died on me. The whole thing died. And I woke up one morning and I lost 150,000 people. And I thought, no, what happened? What's going on? And I have been gaining those people slowly back ever since. And a couple of things that happened is Pinterest changed. Yeah. So I had to regrow everything. Pinterest changed in, I don't know, mid 2011, 2012. That's where they went from the thing before where they had tastemakers and everything was really focused on you and finding your favorite things and collecting them and making that pin board as it started. You were supposed to put a pin in it. To then it went to way more of an automated system. So what they did then that kind of ruined it a little bit for me was when you joined, because they were getting this huge influx of new people, because that's when it went viral all over the world. Oh my God, everybody join Pinterest right now. And so they grew their numbers 5 times in 6 months. They started recommending who you should follow. And they started following them for you without you doing it. So you came in and it would ask you what are your 3 top interests? And you would click, I like this and I like that and I like that. And then when you showed up to your new account, it was already filled with junk. 1, that you didn't ask for. And then 2, you were following 50 people that you didn't know. And so what happened, 1 was this huge crop of new people rose to the top. So there was average people that they selected and were you're going to be this automated follow person. And then they became now they're many of them have millions and millions of followers because it was automatic. It just happened to them. But 2, the people who showed up, because mainly Pinterest users aren't bloggers, they're just regular people. They got there and they got really confused. And they're like, who are these people? Why are they showing me all this stuff? And why is it happening so fast? Because in the beginning, group boards, when you followed somebody, you also followed all the group boards they were in. And now it's not like that. Now you have to choose to follow a group board unless you follow the owner of it. But in the beginning, it wasn't. So they may have only followed 50 people, but those 50 people just happened to have all these group boards. And so it was just so much saturation that we had a ton of users just walk away and abandon the platform entirely. And it took years for them to kind of tweak and hone and fix it. I still don't think 100% that they have fixed it, but they just kind of switched their whole game. So now they're way more about search and less about curation and less about people. But everything changes. So I'm going to read questions now. Talking about their pinning ratio and how often they pin. Okay. Pinning ratio. Yes. Yes, there should be one. One, I had a girlfriend go to Pinterest last month and they said something to her that was a giant red flag in my head. And I told to my friends, but I haven't told the world. So I'll tell you now. Pinterest doesn't like it when you pin the same URL multiple times. So if you're one of those people who does a new post and then pins it to every single group board that you're a part of at the same exact time, please go sign up for Board Booster and spread those out. Or Buffer. Buffer does it now too. But you really don't want to be pinning to your own account the same URL more than once a day. I got really scared when she said it. and made her like go shake the lady and said, oh my God, well, how often can we do it? And she said, don't worry. It's not a big deal. Like just wait like 24 hours, but you really just want to space each post about 24 hours apart.
Stacey, let me interrupt you for a second. I was banned from Pinterest last year. And, so I'm trying to think of my mic. And I think that was why, because I had pinned, I want to say it was like 3 of my pins to 3 different boards, but it was the same URL, and it was like right in a row, like to my like regular board, and then to like my food board, and then to like one other. And like I won't do that because I was like banned for a week from Pinterest. I had to email them like 7 times before I was finally allowed on. I wrote a post about it. You can find it on our Becky and Paula page. But it was I'm like reading all your comments. It's right. So now I get emails all the time from people saying like, oh my gosh, like, no, it was that they were marked as spam. And I don't know if that was why, or if like someone had like marked I like had a blogger that was like out to get me. Mm-hmm. And she was like trying to hack my page a lot and things. And then like around the same time, my pins were marked as spam. So like, I don't know how it all went together, but it can like that can happen. You can be banned from Pinterest. It's like the worst thing. My traffic plummeted for that week. It was terrible. And it took me like months to get back up.
They call it Pinterest jail, and it will happen. It shouldn't happen if you do 3. So I imagine somebody reported you as spam.
Yeah, it was.
But if you do 300 like that, then yes, they're going to start marking as spam. And the update from the lady kind of told me that yes, they're going to start looking at that. But as far as pinning content from your own site, that's fine. Like you can pin 10 of your own posts a day as long as you're pinning like 30 pins. So I would say at least 1 out of every 3 or 4, but I don't like to shove my own content down people's face. So I'm about 1 to every 10 is my rule. But I wouldn't say that's the best rule because I don't get as much traffic from Pinterest as I should, but I grow my audience. So you have to kind of weigh what your end goal is. So if your goal is to get like holiday traffic right now, then go ahead and pin more of your holiday content. But if your goal is to grow your audience to a really engaged point so that every time you pin anything, they read it and look at and click on it, then I do my own content a little more sparingly. And one way I help myself spread things out is by having group boards with some contributors, because their content goes out in front of mine too. So it spaces it, even though on my own profile. So like we have MJ in here right now. Hi, MJ. And she's one of my contributors, and she has access to my board. So she can pin her content, which is good for her. And it's also good for me because it helps spread out in between my posts how often my stuff is going out.
And important guys, and I don't know if you do this in the other ones, but you can make it so that other people's things come automatically. So like I have like when I first set it up, sorry, it's like so echoey. I did that. I feel like I can't even talk. But you could set up other people's things to come into your boards automatically.
Okay, and we're going to go to MJ's question next. And she says, how many boards of your own work should you have, and how many collaborative boards? Okay, that's a great question, MJ. How many boards of just your own work should you have? Maybe not too many. And the reason why isn't exactly what you think. The reason is another thing Pinterest is doing when they determine who's going to show up in search results is they look to see whose account is the most active. And one way they do that is by looking to see how often you're using your boards. So if you have boards that are only of your content, so let's say you have a blog board, that's great, and you pin and you write pretty regularly, at least weekly, then you're adding content to that board. But let's say you also have like a top posts board, and you don't have a top posts more than once a month. Let's say you only get top posts every now and then. They're very hit or miss. This board itself isn't going to be very active because you're not using it on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. And that will start to count against you. If you have a significant number of boards in your account that you're not pinning to regularly, then Pinterest say, "Woo, this guy doesn't use this account that much. Let's not look at his stuff." So the main consideration, because I'll tell you, the thing you really want is to have as many containers to place your own content in it as possible. So every board I have is a place I can put my content, but maybe not just my own content. So I would have one, maybe two boards, however you need to set it up for your, so for you, MJ, I would have one for probably your work just on your own site. I would either add your stuff that you do around the web there too, or you could have another one that's like particularly around the web. And then I would also have one for your shop. So that's fine as long as you are adding new things to it continually. Now, if you're not going to be adding new products to your shop very frequently, I would suggest that you make a separate Pinterest account just for your shop and consider it more of a website than an active profile. So that's another thing I like to tell small business owners is Pinterest is a free website, and every single board you make is like another free website. So use as many as you want and do it however you want, and just use it to your advantage. So I started a company in February and I haven't put my site up yet, but I do have a Pinterest profile. So I still have a place where I can put things out. And then she asked, how many collaborative boards? And that's a really good question. And I like to use it as, think about it as like a general user's rule of thumb. Just like when Pinterest changed, we were talking about earlier, and overloaded people when they got there and they're like, I don't know what's going on. This is freaking me out. And they walked away. You don't want your profile to be that way either. So if people go to look at you and they're like, oh my God, she has 234 boards and 80,000 pins. They're like, I can't handle that much of anybody in my feed. So they may choose to only follow one or two of your boards, the ones that they're interested in. And my primary goal always is to get people to follow my entire account, because no matter what I pin later, I want them to see it. So, if you're not worried about that and your main concern when you hop on Pinterest is driving traffic, collaborative boards are great, but even then I would choose sparingly. And I'll tell you this much too, now that the algorithm is like the number one tool, group boards took a hit from that. And when you're joining a group board, be really considerate of the quality of the board. So a good group board, one, has great people in it that post good content, obviously, and two, isn't flooding, like they're not pinning thousands of things a day. Like I see some group boards, somebody was in one the other day, I got in her account and it had over 500,000 pins in it. And I was like, okay, you're out of that board. Like right now, I don't even need to know what it's about. You're out of that board. Like boom, no one is looking at all that stuff. Two, are they pinning on something very specific? Group boards now really need to be niche and category based, because when Pinterest is looking at boards, it's going to include in the search. Let's say you just have a DIY board, and in that DIY board, you post recipes. Pinterest considers food one thing, and then you post a craft. Pinterest considers that another thing. So when they're looking for somebody to put into their search results, they're going to say, this board doesn't make sense to me. Don't even consider it. So I think it's really important when you join a group board that it's a specific food board, or even dialed down. So like a Thanksgiving board or a gluten-free board or a vegetarian board, like so specific that Pinterest 100% looks at that board and says, this is what that is. Yes, we're going to like give them the green light. And the same thing with crafts or kids crafts. Like you don't want to mix too many things into a group board. So really it's just about looking at that group board and determining, is it a good fit for you? Two, are people repinning from it? Because even if it's got the best people in the world and the best content in there, if you look at everything that's been pinned and there's nobody engaging there, it's really not going to help you. But the benefit of a group board is you only have a couple thousand followers and you join a board that has 50,000 followers. Now you can open up your audience that much more. And you can also use that when you're talking with brands, when you're selling your services. You can say, I can create this amazing post for you. I don't have that big of traffic, but I can pin it to this board that opens it up here. Like you think of ways to make things work for you.
Stacy, can I ask you then? Oh man, is it still echoing for you guys?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Okay. When I join a group board, I look at how many repins the people are getting. So I try not to join any that are like, so like if I have like 43,000 followers, I wouldn't join one that had like 3,000.
Unless those 3,000 were this.
What do you think?
Like,
what do you think?
Yeah. So it's quality of the audience itself. So let's say you pair up with a girl and she only writes about, for you, let's say potty training. Like her entire blog is on potty training, but she only has 2,000 people. But you know what? Those 2,000 people are only there to see potty training stuff. So when you write content that goes to her audience, you know it's going to hit and be well received. So it's not always about the number of people. It's just, are those the people that you're looking for? And how often are you going to be able to talk to them? So if you only write one potty training post, then what I would do is just email her and say, can you pin this for me? But if you write it consistently and you have a whole category on it, then yes, she's your girl. But yeah, it's not about the size. It's about, is that the right person?
Yeah, that's good advice. Okay. Thanks. Does anybody else have any questions? Because it's getting to be almost an hour, so we're going to scale away. All right. Stacy, you've been like so helpful. This was really great advice, and I love that you knew things that were on the rise, so we're like prepared ahead of time.
I like to know.
Stacy, do you want to put your Pinterest board, I mean like your profile in the link over there so we can have everyone follow you?
Sure thing.
We can watch what she's doing. And thanks.
Be nosy. That was one of our takeaways. Be nosy. Yeah. Go pin all her best stuff.
And yeah, Pin says, Stacy is just such a wonderful person. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. Thanks. There we go.
No problem. And I'll tell you, when you look at my boards, I'll go ahead and give you this secret right here. Something I have done is I've paired up with people that I know and I love and I really trust, and they have access to my account like 100%. So sometimes you'll like, I haven't even pinned all this stuff. so, but it's okay because I trust that whoever put it in there, it's going to be fine. It's going to be something I want. But and that also helps keep my account active, right? Yeah. So this summer I took some time off. I wasn't there all the time, but my account stayed active because somebody else was putting their stuff in it. And it still comes out as me because it's on viral tag, but someone else is adding content to my account. And in exchange,
like I just have
the same. So
yeah, when I have my PA, like a couple things, and I always pin Paul's stuff, and then I have like a couple of my friends that are able to pin my stuff, and then like it helps them, like you said, with brands, because they are like kind of newer bloggers, but they're able to say, but I pinned like to this board, and then the brands are like, well, okay, if it's going to be seen, and same with my Facebook page, they have access to that, so then they can use that and say, well, I also have like this, I pin or I share here every day, and it has whatever, and then yeah, it's better for them. But yeah, you can only do it, I think, with like people you know won't go like crazy in there and things like that. So good. And it's easier for you. Like I did it because I was like, well, if you guys could just, it would be so much easier. And like Mickey, like will pin to my boards, and it's then I don't have to worry about it.
My friend has a group board with her husband, and it's probably my favorite thing in the world. I like to be nosy and go look at it because like they share jokes to each other, like things they want to do together on the weekend. Like it helps me to know them so much better when I can look, like sneak into their private board and look because it's not private. But yeah. So like anything people are doing that is unique is going to be interesting and attention grabbing, and yeah, it's cool. Okay, I'm gonna go shoot these pies before they melt. Yeah. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'm Stacy of KSW everywhere. So you can find me on any social platform that way. And my site is Kids Stuff World. And you've got my Pinterest thing. So just hit me up, and I'm like to answer questions. So whatever you like.
Thanks so much.
Bye, MJ. Bye, guys. Thank y'all.
I'm going to go about kicking everybody out.
All right, see you later.
Bye.